pre-show banter was a little downer today, but that's okay. We're ready.
The pre-show banter.
Yeah.
Welcome in to the pregame, Bear and Balance pregame, post-Christmas, pre-New Year's edition. Another loss, but kind of a cool weekend with the Texans winning.
Unexpected. I wasn't expecting it. It's a weird because the game was on Saturday. It feels like it was so long ago because there was obviously Christmas, the holiday, everything's so busy and everyone's so, a lot of stuff going on with family. So it just feels like it was a long time ago. The schedule at the site's off this week. So my usual Monday stuff went up yesterday. So just, I don't know, just everything feels off. But the Bears are in the same spot we figured they'd be. It's all good.
They are in the same spot, which is, they kind of got thumped there. I mean, they hung tough. That's the thing. They hung tough, and then eventually the talent level just sort of gets away from you, and it is what it is. But
yeah,
interesting game. 2 left. The Lions definitely showed that they're not quite ready for prime time. Going on the road, they got thumped. And then, of course, the Vikings have been playing these cardiac games all year, so I'm not really quite sure what to think about the last 2 games. But anyway, it's just, the number 1 pick's back in play. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, I mean, maybe there's not a big difference between the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick in terms of like haul, but it is there. It's somewhat significant, particularly if you have like one really great quarterback that everybody wants, or you have multiple quarterbacks that people are interested in. Like that, you get the trade action. It's pretty exciting stuff for a lost season where at least you think that you've answered the big question, and then that like there's just holes everywhere. Rooting for trying to get the top picks, kind of fun. Not that you want to root against your team, but like cheering for these other teams to win so that they get out of your way, so that that's kind of fun. Anyway.
It's all part of the big picture, and we are aware of that, so it's good for us.
Yeah, right. That's a good way.
You ready to rock here? I know you got stuff you got to do a little later, so let's get going here.
Yeah, I got to get out 7. So really, I just got to pick up my dinner. I already ordered it, so. Timing it, I gotta get out. So it's a whole thing.
Okay.
I don't want it to get cold. All right. Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Berckes, a writer for Windy City Gridiron, and I'm joined by the editor of that fine website, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, another week, another loss for the Chicago Bears, this time against the Buffalo Bills. How did you take in this Christmas Eve game?
Such a strange game because when I went back and rewatched, the Bears lost 35-13, right? So I went back and rewatched it. I didn't realize the Bears were in this game up until like the last 7 minutes in the game. It was an 8-point game. And I'm like, I don't remember it being this close, but, it was a holiday game. It was kind of strange. The whole thing was a little early. So, they were right there. I mean, the Bears, again, they played the Eagles tough last week. They played the Bills pretty much tough this last game, and there's no one on this roster. It's a bad roster, and they were missing both starting guards. They're missing receivers. Again, Justin Fields did what he could do, but talent wins out at the end of the day, and the Bears just didn't have the talent to get a win.
Yeah, they're missing like all of the guys, right? We'll get into that at least at some point, but it's like it's really hard to find things that you feel really good about in terms of this roster construction right now, because so many guys are getting thrown on IR, and it's a lost season, and there's probably a little bit of that where it's like, what, we'll put you on IR, let's get you healthy for next year. There's probably a little bit of that going on as well, but overall, you're seeing a lot of bottom of the depth chart type guys getting significant snaps. That's tough. That's tough for any football team, and it's definitely tough for a team that was pretty talent poor to begin with. So, interesting year. Let's just jump into this show with our categories. Portillo's Trench Tribute, of course. Every week we have a $100 gift card that we're giving away for the Portillo's Trench Tribute. Get us your player of the week wherever you get your Bear and Balance, 2ndcitygridiron@gmail.com if you prefer to send it an email. Hit us up on the Twitter, hit us up on the YouTube, hit us up on the Facebook, hit us up on the website, wherever you get it. Tell us your player of the week. We'll put you in the drawing. Lester will ask me for a random number. We will get that sent out to you. We had another one. TJ, I believe, won last week, and I still haven't sent it. I haven't sent it out yet,
Oh,
so
you
I'm
haven't
not
sent.
caught up,
Okay,
but I
you're
will
not
be.
caught up.
It'll be out tomorrow. It'll be
Okay.
out tomorrow. I couldn't get it before I left for Christmas. So
Okay.
anyway, it'll be in the mail tomorrow. But let's talk about trench tribute. So I have a cheeky answer. So why don't you go first?
Okay, I'm gonna go with Braxton Jones. I
Okay.
watched the game. He did give up the sack. I will say that in the top here because I know we got some people saying, "Oh, Braxton Jones sucks. He gave up a sack," but such is life in the trenches. You play a pretty good game most of the game, and you make one mistake, and that's what fans remember. But overall, Braxton Jones is pretty good. I actually went back and graded his game. Me plus minus. No style points. Do your job. Don't do your job. I had him with a -7, so that worked out to an 88.3% grade. And he was working with no Cody Whitehair next to him. Larry Borum was thrown into the mix. And the Bears decided to rotate Dieter Iceland and Larry Borum at that guard spot. So Braxton Jones is working with a couple new faces there. And I thought he did pretty good. They handled a couple stunts pretty well during the game. Braxton Jones talked to the media today, and he addressed some of his inconsistencies this season. He's a very self-aware football player, very smart football player, and then that goes in hand in hand with offensive linemen. So
Sure.
I like Braxton Jones. Right? I'm a fan of his. I like what he has to offer. I think he can be this left tackle for the Bears going forward here. He has a nice offseason of work on what he has to. And I think going forward, I think if the draft falls a certain way, you take the guy. If he's a left tackle, so be it. But I would have no problem if the Bears go into next year with Braxton Jones as their starting left tackle.
That was my original pick. I was going to kind of holster it for a little while because I've got some other stuff coming up, but this might be obvious. But Braxton Jones is the only offensive lineman to take every offensive snap this year.
Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See, and maybe when you stop and think, like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
But
Yeah.
I went back. I did some stuff with the offensive line. It'll come up here in a little bit. But one thing that jumped out was left tackle spot was Braxton Jones every snap, every game. That's pretty impressive for a guy making the jump that he is. He's made every start. He's available, and he's played every play. He hasn't had to come out for injury or miss the end of a game or anything like that. He's playing every snap. So it's a pretty impressive rookie season for him. And like you said, if he comes in next year, you assume that there's going to be a little growth between season 1 and season 2. Nothing wrong with that. Like that's a good football player. And let's see if he can get more consistency in his game, be asked to do a little more, right? I think they do try to hide him a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's see if he can get more responsibility put on his plate as he gets into his second year, third year, and see if he can grow into somebody they can count on to take assignments by himself and be somebody that just kind of sits out there on the island. That'll take time. But he's a rookie making the jump. He's been available. He's played every snap. That's really impressive. That in and of itself is impressive. My cheeky answer, it's my trench tribute is Jaquan Brisker. He leads the team in sacks. Lester
Yeah.
got another one, sack number 4. At this point, he's going to finish the year with the most sacks on the Bears football team. I don't know if that has ever happened. I did not have time to go back and look at every year since 1982. I'm going to assume that there has not been a defensive back that has led the team in sacks, since the sack became an official statistic. Wow, I can't even say that word tonight. That's pretty impressive. I don't care if it's only 4.
Yeah.
It's just pretty impressive that he's able to. This Bears defensive line and just defense in general cannot create pressure. He can. Like it's one of the only players that's been successful in doing that. And I would think per sack per rush attempt, it's probably pretty high, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't come in all the time, so he's getting home like pretty regularly. So I'm again a little cheeky, but I'm going Brisker with my trench tribute this week.
I was curious how you're going to take this, and you did not disappoint. Yeah, Brisker's a good pick here. He's getting after the quarterback. I mean, he like you said, 4 of them. I know the Bears had some nice guys that they would blitz, back in the day, back in the 80s. They had a few guys, but of course they also had Dent. So, no one back then was leading the league or leading the team in sacks. That's a good one for the stat head to make sure you check that when the season's over, if he does indeed end up leading the Bears in sacks, which seems like he will. And real quick about the sack, it was a 0-yard sack. And I tweeted about it. I hate the 0-yard sack when it's affecting me and my work on Sack Watch. But when it benefits the Bears, I'm like, I'll take that 0-yard sack. That's good for the stat line. But yeah, it was a good pick. Brisker's. I like the way the Bears still all year they've been moving him around. Safety. He's playing, nickel, up as a nickel, up as an outside boundary corner as well. He's all over the field, and it's just, I think the Bears secondary is in a good place moving into the next season.
Yeah, I said it very early. I think after camp, or at least in the preseason, I was like, this guy's going to be a lot of people's favorite player pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I think he's showing you why. He's really versatile and he's fun, and he's going to be all over the field. I like him. I mean, I think he looks like he's going to be a good player for the Bears for a while.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Let's move on to Twitter. Tweet of the week. Looks like I'm going to start off this one since I have the tweet loaded up first on our YouTube here. This is from our friend Matt Bowen. He's at Matt Bowen 41. Says Bears Kyler Gordon. He retweeted a video, but Bears Kyler Gordon in cover 3 on the interception. There's no threat in his zone, which means he gains depth and looks for work, finds the deep crosser. So Matt Bowen, former defensive back, former Iowa Hawkeye, but he's also a really good analyst, former defensive back. He really understands this stuff in a way that I certainly don't. I don't really understand defensive back play unless somebody like Matt Bowen explains it to me. I'm consistently like, I'm not sure I know what happening here. Please, somebody that played this, like, tell me what happened here. And so I think you actually tweeted out something about this. Like, did he see something on film, or what was this? But so on the interception, Gordon doesn't have anything happening in his zone. And so as opposed to just kind of taking himself out of the play and covering grass, he decides that he is going to drop back and gain depth, and he's going to try to look for something. So he finds this deep crosser coming across the field. He gains enough depth. He's very athletic, and he's able to get into the passing lane and make a play on the ball, and he gets another interception. This guy is incredibly talented. Let me reset. People stop giving up on rookies, particularly rookie defensive backs. We've been trying to tell you, like, stop doing that. Like, it's a really hard position to learn. And you're seeing this improvement as he's getting more reps, he's getting used to the speed of the game, whatever things are slowing down for him, whatever you want to say. But you can see his improvement throughout the year. And this is why you take a corner as high as you do, because these guys are really tough to find. And when you can get them to play at a high level, they are incredibly valuable to your football team. So Kyler Gordon, man, like he's starting to show why he was the first pick in this regime. And it's these playing sound fundamental football and being able to have that athleticism to make Josh Allen, who's again an MVP candidate, pay. That's a turnover. He caught that ball falling into the end zone, right? I mean, they are in scoring range here. So again, big play by Gordon that Matt Bowen called out, and I wanted to highlight that here.
That was a really nice play by him. It just shows his awareness. It shows how much he's growing as a football player. I mean, coming out, he was known for his football IQ, but again, it's a different game. NFL, NCAA, he has to learn things differently. That you mentioned the speed of the game. It's something that, as fans, a lot of time we take for granted, like, oh, what's the big deal? But things just happen quicker. Things happen differently. So him seeing this, him getting used to this, there was a stretch where some fans were calling him a bust, and it's like, well, what are we doing here? It's a rookie, second round draft pick being asked to play, outside corner and the nickel. The nickel is very important in this scheme. They're putting a lot on this kid's plate, and we kind of see him flash at times, but he's still not consistent. But he's getting there, and along with him and with Brisker, the secondary's in it. And like I said, again, a really good place going forward. You'll have Eddie Jackson, he'll be back next season. He tweeted about how he does not have to have surgery on his injury, which is good for him. This secondary, Jalen Johnson, you've got 4 good football players, and if they can ever figure out the pass rush, which is going to be probably addressed early and often in free agency and the draft, this defense can make a quick turnaround next season.
Yeah, I agree. You are highlighting our good young friend, Jacob Infante.
That's our guy, lead draft analyst at Windy City Gridiron. Jacob Infante is, of course, at Jacob Infante 24. He tweeted out, I don't think the Bears will magically become Super Bowl contenders in 2023, I'd be shocked if anyone actually thinks that, but they played good teams close to the bad roster, found their quarterback, and have lots of money to spend. If you don't see a path to improvement, I don't know what to tell you. And this is a shot, I'm guessing, at some of the negative spins a few people in the Chicago media are trying to put on this team. We all know what this team is. It's a bad roster. But like Jacob says, they found out who they have a quarterback. Justin Fields is the guy. Yeah, his passing numbers aren't exciting and sexy, but this is the NFL today. He's finding a way to get things done. Yeah, their points scored. They're far removed from that stretch where they're putting up a ton of points. But they're hanging with the Bills. They're hanging with the Eagles. This team does not quit. Yes, a lot of guys in this roster will be gone in the offseason. So the whole learn to win narrative that, some people are trying, they have to learn this. Why? 25, 26 guys are going to be gone next year. Okay, so this guy who's going to be on a practice squad next year for some other team is learning to win. Who cares? They'll learn to win when it's time to win. It'll be time to win when they have the talent. And that's going to happen in the offseason, hopefully.
Yeah, it's just we're a little too early for that learn to win conversation, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That's a kind of it's something that the Chargers are a good team of like, you need to learn how to win football games, right? They got all this talent. They sign all this talent. They're trying to put things together. They were trying to push the chips into the middle of the table this year. They're trying to take down the Chiefs, right? And like, there's a stretch there where it looked like the Chargers just going to flat out miss the playoffs because they did not know how to close out football games. And that's a big deal because they were, as a franchise, positioning themselves to try to make a run. Now, it looks like they're going to make the playoffs. We'll see what happens once they get there. But that's the kind of team that's like, hey, this team needs to learn how to win, right? The Bills a couple years ago, right? Like they had all this talent, but they weren't really closing out games. They were losing them late. They need to learn how to win. That's not what this team is. You stop moving the goalposts on this team. We knew what this was coming in. Like we set our goals, we met them. You don't get to skip ahead to the next year's goals. That's not how it works, man. So it is what it is. Let it play out. But yes, I think that's a good point by Jacob and something that we've been trying to say here as well. Let's move on to Caught Up in a Numbers Game, our stat of the week. So this is coming back to what I referenced earlier. So I want to actually ask you what your guess is for the number of offensive line starting combinations the Bears have thrown out there.
Oh, wow.
There's, 15 games in the books. How many different starting offensive line combinations? Not this play,
Rotating,
Dieter Iceland came in, right? Like, no, starters. The guy that gets credited for the start. How many you got?
5-ish, maybe. Okay. My guess. Am I close?
No.
Oh, okay.
8.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's not good.
It's not. And here's the other thing is, I don't think that what Ryan Poles envisioned as his starting 5 ever got out there.
No.
Let me run through them real quick. From left to right. Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Jenkins, Borum. That was game 1. Okay. Call that combination A. Combination B, Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Patrick, Borum. Remember that bad week of practice or that good week of practice from Patrick. That was 2 games. Game 4, you had Whitehair get hurt for the first time. Okay. So game 5, your third starting combination is Jones, Patrick, Mustipher, Jenkins, Borum. And then that was 2 games of that. And then your next combination, your fourth combination, Jones, Schofield, Patrick, Jenkins, Borum. That was where you got your center where you wanted him to. Yeah. Lasted 10 plays. Okay. Then you go to Jones, Schofield, Mustipher, Jenkins, Reef. That lasted 1 game. Then you go Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Jenkins, Reef. Okay, so you get Whitehair back. That's the difference in that one. Then you lose Jenkins. So the next week is Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Schofield, Reef. That's for 2 games. Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Jenkins, Reef is the next one. So that's Whitehair back, but Reef at right tackle and Jenkins back. And then you get this last one, which is Jones, Borum, Mustipher, Schofield, Reef. Then you had Dieter Iceland mixing in to both. He mixed in with
He did,
right
yeah.
tackle, right guard as well. What the hell?
As a couple O-line guys, we talk about all the time. You want to have consistency. You want to have your same 5 guys. They learn, they grow with each other. You understand when the pass off's coming. You understand the leverage. You understand the double teams. You go and understand when you leave and go to the next level. That's hard. That's tough to do if you're not playing with the same guys. And yeah, injuries happen. It's going to happen a lot, but that's rough. Eight different combinations. That is, and fans wonder, why is the pass pro leaky? Why is
I'm
the
glad
run
you
game?
guessed 5. I'm glad you guessed 5 because I was, when I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't know. I have to find out the answer. And in my mind, I think it might be up to 6 now.
Mhm.
So we were kind of in the same category. But if you think about it, I mean, Whitehair's missed, he's had 2 stints now. Mustafa, was never intended to be the starting center. Like that was absolutely like he was. I guarantee
He was
you,
going to be your starting guard at one point.
Poles believed he was going to cut him. I think that I
I
would
do
put
think
money
so.
down that he thought he's not going to make the team, and he's taken all but 10 snaps at center this year. Actually, I think did somebody take a Dieter Eastland took 3 snaps from Mustafa,
Yeah.
in game 8. Anyway, okay, so he's taken everything but 13 snaps this year. So, and where's Jatir Carter? Can we get him in a ball game? I'd like to see him take his 3 snaps. Everybody else gets a snap. I mean, again, I'm good for 1. You might be good for 2. If we want to get out there, you probably don't have the shoulders to hold up at this point, but that's a lot of offensive line combination, right? And even this whole platoon thing, I don't really understand it. But if you're trying to get, you got Alex Leatherwood, he's gotten some reps and things like that. You're trying to get guys a look, but you don't want them to play the whole game. And I guess I get that, but it's really hard for the continuity. And you got a young quarterback back there, and he's taking a lot of heat, but he's getting pressured all the time, and he's getting happy feet at times. So that's a big number. 8 offensive line starting combinations is a really big number. We'll see if that grows in the last 2 games too, or if they're going to stick with this combination going forward.
It might grow. I mean, they did talk about how they don't anticipate no one going on IR this week, but there was a report last week that Cody Whitehair's injury is significant enough where it's going to miss some time. We saw him miss this last week. I think once Whitehair's showing enough that we can get back out there, they'll throw him out there because they know he's their best option, even though he had a really rough game against the Eagles. But 8. That's an
8.
interesting number because that is my number of the week this week as well. So it's interesting how that works out. But mine is more because it is only 8 points separate the league's worst defense in points allowed, which is the Lions, from the Bears. The Bears have allowed 393. The Lions have allowed 401. The Cardinals are kind of in that same boat of suck. Now they've allowed 391. 2 games left. The Bears have never been the worst points allowed defense in the history of the franchise.
Really?
They're close to that.
Yeah.
The Lions are going to put some points on them.
Right.
So if the Bears can't hang, we could end up seeing some history made here if the Bears are the 32nd ranked points allowed team in the NFL this season.
Well, I'm taking a look right now, and it looks like the early lines, the Bears Lions over under is 51.5, which is the biggest over under line of the week. So the book clearly sees what you're seeing, and that there's going to be points to be had in Detroit by these 2 football teams. I would like to not have that designation, right? Like that would be nice to avoid giving up the most points in the league, and that's a nice little stat too that they haven't done that. I mean, they've been around for 102 years. I mean, it's a lot of football. That's a lot of seasons, but
I will say this: the Super Bowl era, when I went through the numbers, look, here's the thing: is there were some strange NFL seasons way back in the day.
It's true.
So maybe if they rank 12th, maybe there are only 12 teams. I just went kind of through the numbers, a quick glance. I'm guessing they never did, and I know that after when the show ends, you're going to probably go check those numbers. But I'm pretty sure never have they done it in the history of the NFL.
It's, if nothing else, is a good off-season project because I feel like I enjoyed I put together a little visual last week. If for those of you that didn't see it, I put together a
Outstanding.
little visual of the Cairo Santos PAT flight path and trying to break down and diagnose exactly what was happening with the Bears kicker on just PATs because he's fine on field goals, right? And I think we kind of figured it out. I think we had a good conversation about it, and he figured it out, right? Like
He did.
this was just this like moment in time where I was like, I think he needs to change his approach, and then he did. Again, maybe Cairo follows me. I'm not sure, but it. I got that bug again where I'm like, I want to do more of these. I need to kind of take some, but it's hard to prioritize that when you got a lot of other stuff going on. Off season's a good time to kind of get back into taking some stats and trying to break them down. So that might be something I kind of look into and chart. Hopefully not for a last place, but that kind of stuff's pretty interesting. Let's move on to the Fields report. It's actually a pretty disappointing report this week, or a little kind
Yeah.
of a boring report this week. He's 15 of 23 for 119 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions, took 2 sacks. He carried the ball 7 times for 11 yards, which
Yeah.
is like yikes. Here's the thing: the Bills are a really good football team. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. And yes, everybody wants to talk about Josh Allen. They want to talk about Stephon Diggs. They should. They're really good football players. They have really good offensive line. They've got a really good defensive line. They've got a really good secondary. This team does not give up points. Like they are second in the league in points allowed. They are really good, and that's really tough to do when you have an explosive offense, right? Because teams are trying, garbage points late and all that kind of stuff. No, this team doesn't give them up. They are a really good, solid defense. They're fundamentally sound. They're well coached. In a lot of ways, they are what the Bears want to get to. They want to emulate. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that these numbers aren't very good. Um, they're just there's not much to talk about,
Yeah.
and unfortunately you didn't even get the rushing aspect of this, and it's almost like, what do you do?
I was hoping for more rushing yards, but like you said, the Bills are a fast defense. They have a lot of talent over there. They just kind of sit back, and you don't have to really. Honestly, the number one receiver for the Bears this week is Byron Pringle and Dante Pettis. So those are your two top guys. So you don't kind of spend a lot of attention, covering them. So you can kind of sit back in your zones, keep an eye on Justin Fields, and just kind of let the game come to them. And that's what they did. And they shut down the run game of the Bears and Justin Fields. And of course, like I said, he's throwing to Pettis and Pringle. Valus Jones got some action, which is nice to see, but talent's not there. What is Justin Fields supposed to do when he's got, a patchwork O line in front of him? Pressure's leaky every now and again. There's no one there. He had a Cole Kmet drop. He had a Pettis drop.
Yeah.
It's rough. I mean, these guys on offense have to be perfect to move the ball. That's not realistic.
No, and like you said, he had at least 2 drops, so that completion percentage probably should look a little better. But even then, like, again, there's not much there. But the Bills have been doing this to every quarterback this year.
Yep.
Like, this is not the only team that all of a sudden they shut down. It was like like you said, the Cardinals defense has been terrible. If you didn't know that and you watched last night and all you knew was like Tom Brady, like a lot of people are probably watching their first, some of their first football last night, Christmas night game, right? Whatever. You've got the great Tom
Yeah.
Brady, right? And he can't do anything against this Cardinals defense. I was like, yeah, the Cardinals are terrible. Like, what's happening here? They can't do anything because they're not very good. And that's not this team. That's not the Bills. The Bills have been doing this all year. So I'm willing to just sort of like, let's just move on from this. It is what it is. The only thing that I'll say is I would have liked to have seen more rushing yards because that record would have been a little bit more achievable had you gotten a chunk out of there, even if it was like 50 yards or something like that. Going to have to take 2 pretty incredible rushing performances by Justin Fields to end the year if he wants to take that record. He's at 1,011 at this point. He needs to get to 1,206. So he needs to put up a big game against Detroit, more than possible, and he needs to put up another big game against the Vikings, which, to be honest, is more than possible. These 2 defenses are bad. Yeah, we can talk about the Vikings a little later, but They're in. They're cruising for these Vikings fans. Man, they are living
They're
life.
ready.
I'm sure the Bears have had a year this year like that where they win. Maybe it's like a 2000 and was it the 2001 season? 2000 was the
Is
01
that
season with the
the
Urlacher Brown.
yeah.
That fun year where they just kind of kept pulling games out and it was just really fun and they got bounced in their first playoff game.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's what the Vikings are in for here is because all their fans are really kind of peacocking around and you're like, guys, like this, I don't think you're as strong as you think you are. But
It's good to have fun and enjoy your
that's
fan,
true.
but your team. But it's at some point, it's like you gotta be aware that we're really lucky as a fan base. But it's okay. They haven't had this in a while, so let them have their time.
They lack self-awareness. That is a good way to put it. All right, let's take a quick break. On the other side of this, we will talk about everybody's favorite segment, the Three Bears. Stick with us. All right, Lester. Three Bears, hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and just right. I already talked about it. I'll just kick it off. Kyler Gordon for me.
Yeah.
And it's just that one play. I think overall, I think he's starting to play. He's starting to look really good. He's starting to play well. Again, the flashes are starting to become more, like series and consistent, right? You're starting to see it a little bit more. But that play was next level, right? Like that's like a very mature play. And he shows off his athleticism. This is a guy that you should start getting excited about. You should start feeling pretty good about him. I can't wait to see what he looks like with the full off season and what he's going to look like starting next year. But that moment was a really good moment for me to say, Kyler Gordon. Yep, that's what we needed to see. That's good stuff. Picking off a guy like Josh Allen, that's good stuff. So Kyler Gordon gets it from me. What about you?
Yeah, I like the way you put that, a mature play from him, and that's what it was. It just shows his maturity as a football player. So for me, I'm going to go with the left guard position, which is the Borum Dieter Iceland rotation, which I was
Okay.
expecting to be a train wreck. Larry Borum never played guard in the National Football League. I guess he did a little bit of guard at Missouri early on in his college career, but never in the NFL. Dieter Iceland has been mostly a practice squatter most of his career, a career backup so far. I was expecting this to be just a dumpster fire. They were fine. Larry Borum had a hold early, so I'm like, oh God, here we go. But he settled in. He was fine. The Dieter Iceland kind of came in. You mentioned he played a little bit for Schofield. When Schofield got hurt, Iceland went in there. And then I didn't realize Iceland was in the game. At some point I noticed he's in the game for Borum. And then when I did a rewatch, I realized, oh yeah, it was a thing. He's in there for most of the second half. So they rotated and they said that was their plan all along. Again, rotating O-line is weird to me. I don't understand it, but it is oddly enough worked for this regime. They're getting a look at Iceland. Maybe Iceland is showing enough to where they feel they're comfortable with him as a backup spot next season. Like you said, Carter at the top. I want to see Jatir Carter get some reps if he's worthy. Let's see him against some NFL competition. I think it's good to do. So rotating is weird, but for this week, hot bowl, Eastland, Dieter. Is it Eastland, Iceland, Dieter? Very
Yeah,
odd name.
Dieter Eastland
Dieter
is how I would
Eastland,
say it,
Larry
but I
Borum.
don't. Yeah,
Those are my guys.
it's interesting because there's been a lot of people. I'll just slide Borum into guard, and he'll be fine. And it's like, what do you like about Larry Borum that tells you that he's going to be a good guard? Because I think that a lot of people will just assume that, if you're not maybe the best tackle, you just slide into guard and you're all of a sudden a good guard like that because guard is much easier than tackle. And as a former guard, I take a little offense. It's just that it's a different skill set, right? The guys are on you quicker. You don't have to negotiate the space that you do in tackle. That's true. It's a little harder to find guys that can do that. But it's a lot more leverage and it's a lot more strength. And, if you watch that left guard spot, you watch Larry Borum, he got blown off the ball a few times,
A
right?
couple times, yeah.
That's not what he does well. Like if this was a hulking road grader right tackle and you move him into right guard because he's not negotiating the space very well in pass pro, that actually is an argument that I will accept. Oh yeah, that makes sense. You take a big strong guy that's doing really well in the run game, but he's not really pass blocking well, and you want to move him into guard and you want to see if you can develop him there. I buy that argument. You've got a guy in Borum who generally a little bit better in pass pro, not as good in the run game. It's like the opposite of Braxton Jones. It's a weird thing for me to say, like, oh yeah, just put him in a guard because I'm not seeing the guard skills displayed as a tackle. And again, they're running away from him and he's getting blown off the ball. No big deal. But you see that. So we'll see if he continues to play guard, if he can play a little bit stronger with leverage and a little bit more so he's not getting blown up. Because if they try to run to the left and he's getting blown up in the backfield, like his guy's going to make plays, he's going to disrupt those runs. And you want to run to the left because that's where Braxton Jones is.
Mm-hmm.
Braxton Jones is really good, so or good at run blocking. So I find I need more. I need more information. Like either needs to be if you think Borum's your left guard, maybe they do. Maybe they kind of like that idea. Is there a different left tackle who's going to be a little bit stronger in pass pro than Braxton Jones, and Braxton Jones flips over to the right, where more traditionally you find the better run blockers, and then you get that mix going there. I'm very curious to see what happens. I mean, you don't necessarily want to pull a guy off who just made every single start at left tackle, but those two don't seem to match to me. Those seem like a mismatched pair of socks on the left side there. We'll see. I'm curious to see what happens with that. But like you said, there weren't a lot of negatives.
Yeah.
And you were expecting it to be a disaster. So makes sense. But the more evaluation to come on those guys, I'm sure. Flip it around, which was a disaster. Cold Bowl. I don't know, man. I mean, you're going against a really good football team. Like, where do you want to go? Talent's pretty poor. I'm just going to put it on Luke Getsy. I think that Getsy has shown at times that he can be really creative. He has shown at times that he can play to his players' strengths, that he can set things up. He's shown that he has a very creative run game, right? Like there are some really good things that I think you feel good about with Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. This was not one of those games. He felt like he was, what was he doing? Just trying to get out? Like, was he cold up on the, it was just like, it's too cold of a game for me. I'm just trying to like get out of here. Like, I don't understand what his run, pass, approach. I thought we were done with that. I thought we were over that sort of thing. Creativity was kind of out the window. I don't know if he just kind of looked at this Bills defense and was like, yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing here. So for me, I'm just calling out Getsy and saying he gets the Cold Bowl.
Yeah, I had him written down in my notes too. He just was just an awful second half. I mean, the first half was kind of what it was, but then as the game went on, you thought he would come out and do a few different wrinkles. And if I'd never seen another second and long run the rest of the season, I'll be fine with that. He seems to really go at it. I know Jacob tweeted something out about that. It's the 2nd and 8 runs, or they had a 2nd and 8 or longer. 7 and 8 times was runs in the second half. And then I saw he also tweeted a graph out where it showed the frequency of running on those 2nd and long times, and the Bears lead the league in it. And part of it's the O-line not trusting everything they want to do up front. Part of it is Justin Fields' inexperience, but come on, man. Those 2nd and long runs do nothing for your team. It's just it's like almost like you're waving the white flag at that point.
Right. I don't like it. What do you have?
I wanted to give this to the CBS network.
Okay.
I cannot stand games as opposed to Fox or NFL Network. Just it's a far inferior product. Just the whole production value, from the announcers to the camera to the replay to the angle. You get less of the field. I'm not expecting all 22 looks here, but it's bad. But I'm going to go with a player. I'm going to go Khalil Herbert. First game back from injury, he had 6 runs for 7 yards. He had 2 receptions for -4 yards. Overall 8 touches for 3 yards. Not a good game from Herbert. Maybe they rushed him back, but they were talking about how close he was even last week, which I think may have fooled Robert into thinking he was coming back a week early. But
yeah, definitely fooled Robert.
but the Bears were talking him up. Yeah, he's ready.
Right.
This whole last week they talked about how his explosiveness is there, his cutting is there, his leaping ability is there. He is right where they expect him to be. It didn't look like it. Again, it's not all him. A lot of it's the blocking in front, but we saw him overcome that early in the season. He can overcome it here. Maybe the Bills were keying on him a little more because he is so explosive. He is averaging 6 yards, or was averaging 6 yards a pop. But bad game overall for Khalil Herbert this week.
Yeah, I'll accept that. Normally I say no Khalil Herbert slander, but we'll say that's okay. He does deserve it for that stat line. I do agree with you with the CBS. I've noticed that. I watch a lot of football games, and the announcing crews particularly. I think that you could take like the sixth Fox crew, and you say where do they fit on CBS? They might be the second. Like I mean,
Yeah.
CBS is rough with the announcers. I don't know if they just don't have like good recruiting if they don't like, but yeah, if you're an AFC fan, I'm sorry. Like you got to watch a lot of poorly announced games. Like that's
Plus
pretty
the
bad.
angles of the stuff
Yeah,
they're
they don't have
showing
as
is
many
just not good.
cameras. They're
Yeah.
not investing in the same amount of like, the product just isn't being invested in like they are on the other channels. And I mean, give the Fox crews credit because they do a good job. But like the Amazon stuff's pretty cool. Like where you
Yeah.
can watch the all 22 live. All the stuff on the side, the stat stuff, and this random nerd that kind of talks at a Sam something. No offense to him, but like I don't need to hear you talk. I don't know what that's all about, but I don't know. They can probably improve that part of the presentation, but the fact that they actually are just showing you the all 22, it's so refreshing and it's so nice, right? People don't like Joe Buck. I get it. Like people don't like certain guys. They're good. Like they're good at
Yeah.
announcing games, and they have the production value there. And then the Sunday night crew, people are off Collinsworth. I agree, he annoys me, but that is incredible production value. Like they do
Yeah.
an incredible job. So it really is a stark difference when the Bears are over there, and you're like, yeah, and they don't know anybody, right? And I get it. They're not calling a lot of NFC games, but they don't know names. They butcher everything all the time. It's like, God, this is brutal. All right, just
It was Adam Archuleta this week. It was just
I mean, at
he
least
had,
he
he had
knows Haleth Hall, I guess.
a
He
hope.
was
Yeah.
there. He was there for a hot minute. All right, just right for me. I'm gonna say Valus Jones. He
Okay.
we've taken our shots at Valus. Uh, he's single handedly, I think, dropped a couple of games for the Bears with some of these fumbles, but he shows the juice in the kick return game, right? Like he shows the juice. And then at this point, that's what I expect to see out of him. I don't expect him to contribute on offense because I just don't think it's just not there for him. And so maybe this is a waste. That's not what I'm talking about. What I expect from him, get the ball in his hands, see if he can do something. There was some juice on those kick
Yeah.
returns. Yeah, I was pretty impressed. And again, the level of talent flows all the way down to special teams. These are guys that are practice squatters. They wouldn't be able to make a lot of other teams. These are guys that are fighting for their NFL future as well. And they get some good returns. They get some good blocks on there, and Velas was able to take advantage, and he's looked pretty good on those. So I want to give him a little shout here and say good job, Velas Jones.
28 yards return, which is pretty good in the NFL. That's he had, of course, the huge 44-yard catch. Nice play by the Bears. I had him written down in my notes as well, but I'm going to go a little different, a little cheeky, I
Oh,
guess is here. I'm going to go Nathan Peterman. During his career, he has thrown an interception on 9% of his passing attempts. So seeing him throw a pick in this game just felt normal. It's just it's what we expect out of Nathan Peterman. Almost comforting that all is right with the universe. Nathan Peterman's in an NFL game throwing interceptions. So I'm going Peterman. But just to be serious, though, I think backup quarterback something the Bears have to address next season.
yeah.
Trevor Siemian was a guy they brought in. They chose him over Foles. It's hard to have an athletic comp to Justin Fields because Justin Fields is ridiculous. But I think you have to build if the offense is built around a quarterback that can run, your backup should also be a quarterback that can run. Peterman's not that guy. Simeon's not that guy. Tim Boyd, is that who they got now?
Tim
I don't
Boyle.
even Tim Boyle, he's not that guy. I think next year you have to bring in a guy that is closer to kind of what Justin Fields wants to do. You're never going to find a guy with full force speed at that spot that's that big and strong and fast that can throw like that. But something so you don't got to change the whole offense when you have your backup in
I love it. I love it. We got a Nathan Peterman in here, so it's fantastic, fantastic. All right, well that's the show. Again, it's tough. It's tough. This year we knew that. Just trying to get through these games, and we're close to the end. We got a couple division games. The Bears can play spoiler. Again, your mind wants them to just drop the game so that they can maximize the draft capital and all that. I get that. Your heart's going to tell you to cheer for for this team when you watch them, particularly when they're going against the Lions, particularly when they're going against the Vikings here. It's hard to change that part of yourself. So we'll be here covering those last two games, see if we can get any value out of them. You never know. You never know what you'll see. You get a play like the one from Kyler Gordon or things like that. Those are nice things to take into the offseason, put in your back pocket, and file that away. So there's going to be some fun stuff. Stick with us. As always, put your Portillo's player of the weekend. We got a couple more gift cards to give out, so let's make sure we get those out to people that will enjoy them. And yeah, anything else going on?
Sounds about it. We got a little extra long week this week with the Bears playing early, but it's still a holiday week. This is a weird time of year because it's like between Christmas and New Year, like everyone's off of work at the real job. We're off today. We're obviously off. The day after on the second. A lot of my teammates at the real job are off, so it's just a weird. What day is today? It's like one of those weird situations. So the site will be popping. We'll have stuff there. The podcast channel will be going. So there's always something going on. Plus, I have a Braxton Jones video breakdown in the works this week. I have some extra time. Only 2 sacks to break down. So I talked to my guy Zach, who does our video stuff for us. He has some time this week, so we're going to put together a quick Braxton Jones video breakdown.
Do you hear that, Bears? If you give up fewer sacks, Lester has more time to do special projects. Let's make that a thing. Yes. All right, good stuff. Be sure to be watching for that. You can follow us on Twitter. If you are still on that platform and haven't decided to go somewhere else, I don't know. There's some other stuff that are out there. People are migrating to. We're still on Twitter. You are at Wiltfong JR, and I am at Gridiron Born. You can find us. We spend way too much time there, but that's where you can find us and ask questions and see all our stuff. You'll see it all on the website, see it all on Second City Gridiron YouTube or the Windy City Gridiron podcast channel. And until then, we will see you right back here on the 2nd of January of 2023 to talk about Bears Lions. So we'll see you then. All right, I got 13 minutes.
Let's do it.
Chris was on the same page.
Oh, man, look at there. 4 sacks.
I mean, it's sad, but what are you going to do?
Well, I think Roquan had 3 when he was traded. So if he would have still been a Bear, he may have been
maybe 3 or 2.5. I can't remember, but it was.
How about Roquan making the Pro Bowl over there?
That
pissed off some Bears fans, but he was every year.
Good for him, but
exactly.
I mean, it was just kind of seems wild. I mean, he has the high tackle numbers. I suppose it's that. It's tough. I don't know. Yep. Good for him. If he deserves it, he deserves it.
Yeah.
Man, hopefully not, Alex. I don't want any pipes bursting. It's really cold, but I think we're coming out of it. Tomorrow's supposed to be decent, and then I think we're in like the 40s.
I saw the 40s coming up, which is interesting. So
good. I'm not built for the cold anymore. Did you get anything good for Christmas?
Clothes, socks, underwear, typical dad stuff. But
okay.
it was nice. Kyler, look at there. See,
number 1 Bears fan likes Kyler. You can wear your Cutler jersey. Put Gordon over Cutler if you want. I'm just saying.
Have you ever found that where they do those nameplates?
I think Chris Armstrong. I think found it. So I think she tweeted it out. But
that's good.
I'll have to go back. I think I liked it to save it, but can't remember.
You got a lot of Mitch Trubisky jerseys. If Chase Claypool becomes a thing, they're out there. A lot of ways to kind of flip those for fans.
Eric Mustafer has played center for the Bears this year. That's what I'll say. I think that judging him in a relative way against in the rest of this offensive line, then maybe you say he's been solid.
He has been better than a year ago.
He's been better than he was in the past. That's a good way to put it. Let's say that. He's solid still. That's not a grade I would give him overall. But yeah, I mean,
Gatsy.
the Bills are good, man. I mean, the Bills are good. Why do we need Cody Mouch? How do you say his name? I need to hear somebody say his name. That's the North Dakota kid, right? The kid that looks like he's like got the red hair. Have you seen this picture? Like where he looks like a little kid when he's like 18, and then like he's 21, 22, and he's got like this, crazy hair going and a beard and all that.
That's one of Jacob's guys. I think Jacob has had a nice Twitter thread about him.
Little draft crush on him. Why do we need it, or why we need him?
Yes,
I think we need him, right? Like that's the point. Yeah, we need we need offensive linemen on this team.
It's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Poles attacks the O-line. A lot of changes, a lot of stuff here. Oh, there it is. Amazon nameplate vendor. Nice. I'm not a jersey guy, but I know a lot of people that have jerseys, and one of the things is, why would you buy a jersey of a guy that's going to be no longer a Bear? I always say, if you're going to buy a jersey, get old school. Get a throwback, get a Sayers, get a Peyton, get a Berckes.
All right, let's talk about that. So I like the Sonon. Okay. So they have to choose to do that. Or maybe there's some like custom places or something that I don't know about, but like they have to choose to put out a throwback jersey with the Sonon. So like you can get Peyton, Ditka, has been out recently, that kind of thing. When they brought out those throwbacks, a few years ago, the what are they, the 36 throwbacks, the one that Jack wrote the article on. They did not bring out a Bronco Nagurski who would have worn that, right? Like a Bronco Nagurski number 3 with the sewn number and nameplate. Why? They probably just figured they weren't going to sell them, but like there's nerds like me that would have bought one because he actually wore that, right? So I find I would buy that. Like I'm into that. This is the throwback jersey. Like if they brought back those cool ones with the
Navy.
The navy with the solid orange numbers. I would buy a Luckman, or I would buy I would definitely buy a Danny Foreman, but like I'm the only person that would ever buy that. I would buy
that would confuse so many Bears fans if you had a Fortman jersey.
Oh my god, people would be like, "What the hell is this?" Bulldog Turner, though, I think people, and it says like Bulldog. I think people would dig that. I think you'd sell. I think you'd sell a number of those. I think that you'd make your money there. McAfee, maybe, right? Like he's a Hall of Famer. Like I think he might be popular enough. But like I think Luckman and Bulldog, I think you'd make your money there. So like the throwback guy, but like I didn't really watch Walter Payton, right? I certainly never watched Mike Ditka play. I never watched Dick Butkus or Gale Sayers play, right? So like, should I is that okay? Like, to me, it's like a history project. At what point is that okay? Because in my mind, I have no problem buying a Bronco Nagurski. I would have no problem with it. And that, Bronco Nagurski's been, I don't know when Bronco died, but certainly like a long time ago, right? He stopped playing in the 1940s. Like, I mean, like I clearly never saw him play. So at what point is it like okay to like get a player of a jersey of a guy that you never saw play, or maybe it's okay. I don't know. But like if you say like, well, you have to, Kev, right? You can't have a guy has to be older than you, same age as or older than you. Well, okay, but I was born in 1982, which means I grew up with shitty Bears football, right? Like, I mean, who in the 90s do I want their jersey, right? Like who?
Alonzo Spellman would be a fun jersey to have.
Would it?
Chris Zorich?
Kind of insane.
I know. Get a Zorich jersey.
I had a Zorich. I had a 97.
Of course you did.
Way back in the day. Yeah. Of course I did. Yeah, I had a 97 growing up. Yeah, that was
Mark Bortz would be a good one for you if you're going to throw back,
Sure.
The Iowa connection.
It's just 62.
62, yeah.
Yeah. Hilgenberg, of course.
Hilgenberg,
I don't know. Like I kind of struggle with that. I bought a Mac jersey because I wanted the throwback. Like I thought the throwback was really cool. So I bought the throwback with the Mac. And then of course that, I can't wear that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean I could, but he's gone. And so you just, you kind of go, God, I got a lot. And it's too big, but you got a lot of jerseys hanging in your closet that like of guys that didn't. I have an Elshon Jeffrey jersey, like yeah, I can't do a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
Alshon Jeffrey. There it is.
I don't know. See him in the wild. That's kind of one of my favorite pastimes.
That is
Just
fun.
seeing random player jerseys in the wild. One of my favorites was a Kerry Collins Panthers jersey. I saw a Kerry Collins Panthers jersey at a bar that I worked at, and I about died.
Was that way past his time, or was it like
But
in that era?
well, I mean, it was past this time, but it was like Kerry Collins
Yeah, why?
Panthers. I think it was probably like a $5 jersey, and the guy thought it looked cool, right? I think that's what it was, But you see those, and those kind of fun. Anyway, I have the, I don't know, maybe I'm coming around to the fact that you don't wear jerseys. I definitely don't. I do not agree with the people that are like, put another grown man's name on your bed. Shut up. Like it, or the cosplaying. You're pretending like you're that. What is this? Like, no, I'm just supporting my team.
Yeah.
I like the way a jersey looks, right? Like I like putting them on. Like it's not any, I don't know. Never really understood that either, but
That's just some people want to be mad about something. There's always someone that's got to be mad about something, and you're always going to find them online. So F those guys.
yeah. So anyway, I didn't buy it, but I don't, who am I going to buy a jersey of right now?
Yeah.
That's the other question is I didn't have that answer. And I'm actually kind of a number snob. Like I'm not going to wear a number 1. Now it looks good on Justin Fields, but like it doesn't look good on me. Even as my like not as big as I used to
frame,
be.
yeah.
It still doesn't. I don't think that looks. I think you got to have a body type to wear number 1. Like I think that as a guy, I think it's a certain number, but there's some numbers I just don't like.
Yeah.
Like there's some. We should do like an analysis sometime of what the best numbers are. I have a theory.
Like for me, like the number 1 to me, like it has to be a good for first of all, you got to be for football, you got to be a good player. And I don't think it should be on a slow guy. So when Allen Robinson took 1 for the Ram, I'm like, this looks horrible on him because he's not a number 1. I mean, there's certain players, it just doesn't make any sense. Justin Fields with a 1 looks good.
Looks great.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my quick theory on numbers. Single digits, you got to have some sort of connection to them. Like I don't know. To me, like some of them look okay, some of them don't. Like, but I think it's like that's kind of its own category. Then I think it's round numbers look good. Like anything that ends at a 0 or a 5. Generally, those numbers look pretty good. Double numbers almost always look great.
Yeah.
So 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99. So some of those are the best numbers in the game. 99, incredible number. 88, great number. 77 is a good number, right? 66, great number. 55, incredible number. I mean, like they're all really, those double numbers really good. And then I would say plus or minus 1 off of the double number. So like
you've given this some thought.
I have. So if it's like 23, it's a really good number. 21, really good number, right? 24, I don't know. 27, no, not really. Right? Like there's just, I think there's something to it. That's my theory, is those are the good numbers. So round numbers, double numbers, and then plus or minus 1 on the double number. I'm gonna write. That's an off-season article there, Lester.
Hey, I'll take it. That's good. We got some Luke Getsy saying he'll be gone end of the season. They're not firing Luke Getsy. I can't see it happening.
No,
he's very inconsistent as a first-year play caller, but asking Justin Fields to learn a whole new offense, I can't see it happening. He seems like he's clicked well with what they're doing here. Get the guy some talent, like Dante Pettis is not the guy,
Yeah.
Ryan Griffin is your backup tight end. I mean, Cole Kmet, as much as we're Cole Kmet fans here, he's not a guy you want to be going to as one of your top targets, so we'll see.
We'll have to talk about fives as round numbers. That's fives and zeros. Those are the round numbers of
Oh, I see where you're going
the
there.
round numbers. That maybe Chris understands this differently, but in my world, fives and zeros are round numbers. So, okay, I'm gonna end it there because I gotta go get my food. But thanks for joining us, everybody, and I will continue my dissertation on the best football numbers some other time.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.